Good morning, friends. Good Georgian morning to you all. I've just been delivered a little bit of breakfast, black coffee and some cake and some sweets, which is lovely. I've said goodbye to Nona. She has to go to work today. It's about 8:30 in the morning. I've said goodbye to her son Dutchy as well. It's quite a cool morning, so I'm nice and rugged up too. So yeah, I think plan is head north. We'll take some back roads north to Gori, and probably find either somewhere to camp tonight. My friend has just shown up as well as I'm having breakfast. Alright, we are on our way out of the village. Going past the Neva graveyard. Grandmother came and got me. Told me that the UAZ was in the way because I got to park the UAZ in the milk factory last night. In the cheese factory, sorry. And they had the milk delivery, so she said, you know, come on, you got to get your skates on and get out of here. Okay, yep, got the UAZ out, and then she wanted me to drive the little milk truck, the little Mitsubishi milk truck, into the shed and get it out of the way. I said, yeah, okay. So, you know, I'm getting to drive all sorts of vehicles here in Georgia. So I'm gonna go and make a stop somewhere, probably at a local park or something, and figure out what the plan is for today. I've been having a look at places that Andres has recommended me, and there's a monument to the Battle of Degory, and its monument looks very cool. I'm not going to show you right now. Looks like it's about an hour's drive from where I am. So we're going to get going and have a look at the Knight, K-N-I-G-H-T, and then the actual monument to it as well. They seem to be fairly close. So I'm going to get driving. Looks like I'm going to have to give up my Kyrgyz passport. I couldn't make it. Alright, fairly choppy old road, but you get a view with it. Have a look at the snow-capped mountains over there. We're free! Look at that. This filming business by yourself, quite difficult. Quite difficult to drive and capture video and overtake and get overtaken, avoid potholes, cows, livestock, people walking on the roads. But such an adventure. It's so different from anywhere I've been. It does remind me of, well, the driving standard style reminds me of Kyrgyzstan a lot. So hopefully I've regained my Kyrgyzstani passport with that overtake, mountain overtake. Wasn't quite a blind corner, but hopefully I'll get my citizenship back with that one. Alright, I've made a few more stops along the way. Wow, this is a steep hill. Made a few more stops, get a few shots of Bridie, the Buhanka. I think that's got a good ring to it. So it's a little bit later than what I thought. It says, computer says I'll be there at midday, 12, wherever I'm going. I can't even remember where I set the marker to now. A view on a hill in the next town over. But I'll probably have to get me skates on if I want to get to Gori tonight. But so much to see in Georgia and so many little stops to be had. I feel like maybe I don't want to rush to Gori. We'll do as the locals do and just take it easy and do whatever we like, because you get to soak up things like this, and why wouldn't you want to stop and appreciate some of these views? I've got the heater going in the car as well. I've only got a jumper on and it is so hot. The heater is activated with that little switch down there. You pull it up and that opens the heater valve, and then there's a fan that you flick on the dash.
Out of the way, Dopey!
There's a fan that you flick on, and it warms the Buhanka up pretty well. Anyway, I gotta focus on driving down this massive hill. I think the Georgians can tell when a tourist drives through their town, because only the tourist uses the indicators on the car. So nobody else is really using theirs, but I'm trying to. I try and let people know where I'm wanting to go. Khramhesi is more than just a dot on the map. It's a place shaped by water, mountains, and Soviet engineering. This quiet settlement grew around the Khramhesi hydroelectric power stations built in the 1940s and 60s to harness the energy of the Khramhesi River. The massive concrete dam and reservoir still dominate the landscape, offering not just electricity, but a surreal industrial beauty that contrasts with the wild green hills around it. It's a place where time feels paused. Remnants of the Soviet era blend with the rugged Caucasus terrain. Few tourists make it here, but for the curious traveller, Khramhesi offers a glimpse into a side of Georgia that's rarely seen. Okay, the town was called Khramhesi, I believe. Actually, I can show you it because we're on the edge. I've just parked the UAZ up. That's the little town down there. Along the way, again in Georgia, always something to see on the side of the road. I'm quickly learning. Looked like a small little church or something on the side of the road here. Little place to light a candle and say a prayer. Oh, lovely. Good. It's just a small little room. Lots of pictures of Jesus. How cool is that? Randomly on the side of the road. I can't imagine that the town of Khramhesi has much more of a population than probably 100. I don't think it would even be that. But cute little church they've got here. We will continue up the hill in Bridi the Buhanka, the mighty UAZ. Found the track. There's a bit of off-road. I've just engaged 4 high, and I think I see the point that we're going to. This is the best. It's so fun. There's so many tracks I can see up here, and they're all super dug out, but I think I've picked a good one for us to go up. Here she is. Have a look at this view, lads. Full 360-degree view, and the marker at the top of the hill. I don't think the views get much better than this, to be honest. That's a hell of a view, and geez, it's a lot of fun taking this Buhanka off-road. It just does everything so effortlessly. It just feels so good. So again, another hill or another mountain climb conquered in the beast. There's a relationship forming with me and Bridie. Feels good. Feels good. What a car. What a van. What a truck. Well, decided to fix a little snack. Salami, the smoked cheese from Nona. Thank you, Nona. Iced tea, and just sitting in the back of the UAZ, enjoying the view. What's not to like? Alright, so I've just had the map out. It is 1 o'clock at the moment, and to get to the battle monument that I spoke about earlier this morning, it's going to take about an hour. Now, with how much I'm getting sidetracked looking at other things and taking pictures of Bridie, it could be a little bit longer, so we should get there at about 2 o'clock. So Andreas did tell me to add about 30% extra time, because you do go a little bit slow in the van and some of the roads require you to go slow as well, so fair enough. I still feel like, 2 o'clock, that's still reasonable. We can probably still get to Gori after that, because I think it will be like another hour's drive after there, so that would put us there. Let's say we spend an hour at the monument, we'll be there 4:30, 5 o'clock in Gori. I might just check out campsites around there. Maybe we do a booking thing. I feel like camping will be the way to go, to be honest. One other thing I did want to show everybody, very handy on the UAZ, you got the step to get back in, and it's spring loaded, so it makes things a lot easier. So I've finished my salami and cheese, and I think we are gonna head on to the next bit of driving, make our way back down the hill, which should be pretty exciting. She does do 100 in 5th on the flat, possibly with a tailwind behind us, but she's going. She did an overtake as well, overtook a big truck, so very proud of her. You gotta look quick, there's a little bit of white over there. There's a little bit of snow. I've noticed that the UAZ is down on power, and it must be the elevation change. We're in 3rd. I don't think we're gonna make it up this hill, but we must be climbing a lot, because that change, I remember in the Neva adventure in Kyrgyzstan, the change in elevation really affects that engine horsepower and how much torque you get, and I'm finding I'm having to change down a lot, so yeah, but that's all good. We do have some storm clouds out there as well, so we might be in for a wet night. Anyway, I'm about 10 minutes away, it looks like, and I may have to grab another gear here, so we'll check back in shortly. Yep, definitely snow here. It's feeling like a mountain peak. So now I'm quite keen to see what sort of monument they've got at the top here. I may be seeing monuments up ahead. I've got something on the right there, and then something in front of me as well, which actually is like a whole bunch of swords stuck in the ground. Wow. Okay, I need to get closer and I need to drive. Apologies for the wind noise, hopefully I can edit that out, but quite a few interesting symbols here. We've got the sword with the grapes, which I assume is a wine connection here in Georgia. Some writing on the backside, and then something that looks, I'm not sure, in my opinion it looks a little bit Nordic, but you know, like a Nordic rune or something. But it has some pots and some bells hanging off it. And then all the way at the top, you can see a lot of different swords poked into the ground. And then I think that's actually another sword poked in at the top. So we're going to go for a little bit of a walk up there. It's about, what, 2:40 GL PM in the afternoon. So we've got a few hours of daylight left. I think the sun sets about 7 o'clock at the moment. But some beautiful stonework around here. And there's a little owl on a perch too. Oh, is that a little bottle of wine or a bottle of vodka somebody's had here? It's fairly chilly here, lads. High in the mountains of Georgia stands the Degory Monument, a haunting array of towering swords and stone crosses commemorating one of the greatest battles in Georgian history. On August 12, 1121, King David IV of Georgia, known as David the Builder, led a vastly outnumbered force, about 55,000 men, against a massive Seljuk Muslim coalition said to number over 200,000. Against all odds, the Georgians won a decisive and brutal victory in just a few hours, using clever tactics and ambushes in the narrow mountain pass. This victory marked the turning point in Georgia's medieval golden age, securing its independence and territorial expansion. Today, the Degory Monument not only honours those who fought, but stands as a powerful symbol of unity, resilience and national pride. Alright, that was the Degory Monument. Now we're off to see what Andreas calls the Huge Knight. I can see a massive statue off in the distance. Now, that's where we were. You may or may not be able to see it up there. It was only 2 minutes drive or something. Park the UAZ up there. And we'll walk along the road for a bit, but you may be able to spot something through the trees over there. So, nice little picnic area. And actually, while I've got some privacy, I might just have a Betsy Wetsy while I'm going. Look at the size of that thing. That statue. Wow. Wow. That's sick. So I'm looking at the statue now. Yeah, they've got defined muscles on him, chainmail, a hat, a horn, and a sword attached to him. Now I'd love to see the process of how they mounted him up here. But here's the valley that he is overlooking. Try and get a better shot. Is there a way down? Nope. Wow, that thing is huge. It's actually shiny. Look at that thing. Honking huge. Just got onto booking.com and found a guest house in Uplistiki. It's about 12 kilometers, I think, outside of Gori, but it looked really nice. Looked family owned and run, rather than like a fancy hotel or anything in Gori, which I wasn't very interested in. So we're gonna head there, head down the mountain. So about an hour, but in this old girl, maybe an hour and a half. Oh Oh yeah, look at the old boy go, taking his rubbish into town. People are just so friendly in Georgia. The lady that runs this place just invited me down for dinner. She first delivered me this, which I think is like peaches in water or something like that. And then she showed me around her farm and told me what her mum and dad do, they work as. Showed me their cows and their pigs that they own here. And of course, as typical Georgians, they make their own wine as well. So I've had a good helping of homemade wine. They dry their own plums, they grow their own tomatoes. It's just so wholesome. So I got a picture with the family, so I'll throw that up. But yeah, everybody in Georgia has been very friendly. I feel very welcome. Feel very welcome here. Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Today is day 3. I slept in the little town of Upsliki, I think it is pronounced, and its main attraction is actually a cave town that was built during the Iron Age, I believe. So Google Maps tells me it opens at 10 o'clock, but it's about 8 o'clock now, so I think I might get going and we will go to Gori, which is Stalin's hometown, and go and have a look at the museum. After that, I don't really have a plan for where I'm going to stay tonight, but it'll only be midday or something, so I'll have plenty of time to figure that out. Behind me, you can see right over my shoulder, is the little house, quite the big house actually, that I got to stay in last night. It was lovely. They fed me all of their food and their homemade wine, locally grown vegetables and everything. It's just so lovely. Everybody's been so hospitable, and I always feel welcome in a Georgian house for sure. You never go hungry. Nestled in the heart of eastern Georgia, Gori is a city steeped in history, both ancient and controversial. It's best known as the birthplace of Joseph Stalin. His childhood home still stands here, preserved in a museum that draws curious visitors from around the world. The museum is a relic of the Soviet era itself, a time capsule of reverence and propaganda, offering a complex look at one of history's most polarizing figures. In 2008, Gori found itself in the front line of the war between Georgia and Russia. Russian airstrikes hit the city and thousands of civilians were forced to flee. The conflict left lasting scars, physically and emotionally, but also a spirit of resilience that still defines the city today. Gori is a place where Soviet blocks stand alongside bustling markets and where the weight of history is matched by the determination to move forward. So everybody, I'm looking at Stalin's house. Fairly interesting. It's out the front of the museum. Haven't been to the museum yet, but parked the UAZ, got some money out, and yeah, they've built a roof over the top of what they tell you is Stalin's house. Now, I don't know how they verify that, but it's fairly interesting. There's a couple of other tourists here. So it appears to be maintenance day here because there must be 50 maintenance men going around and mowing everything, which is good. They maintain it. So I think this is the start of the Stalin Museum. So a couple of dogs here. Hello, Dogza. This one's been neutered. So we'll go and have a look. Oh wow. Oh. Okay everybody, I've made it into the Stalin Museum. They had a problem with the ticket machine, but a ticket was 15 lari, so very affordable. And there's a lot of history here. So I'm now on the second floor. First floor is just toilets and management center and things like that. But I've got most of the rooms to myself actually, which is quite interesting. There is a group of tourists behind me, so I'll try and stay ahead of them. Okay, going to head to Gori Castle. It says it's 300 meters away, up on my little sign there. So we'll go and check that out. Stalin's museum was quite cool. It had all of the gifts to Stalin, which was interesting. And there's the castle. This behind me, around me, is the memorial for fallen war heroes, Georgian war heroes. And the men depicted here are all missing limbs. It's quite harrowing to see actually. This man's missing his fingers and he's got cuts in him. This man's missing arms and hands, and this guy's missing pretty much everything. And then that's the Gori Castle up there. Towering above the city on a rocky hill, Gori Fortress has watched over this valley for centuries. Its origins trace back to the ancient kingdom of Iberia, with the current stone structure built and rebuilt over time by Persians, Ottomans and Georgians alike. It was both a stronghold and a symbol, guarding trade routes and resisting invaders through the shifting tides of empire. Today, the fortress is quiet. Its crumbling walls a silhouette against the sky. Climb up to the top and the views stretch across the city and the plains beyond, a reminder of just how strategic and vulnerable this place has always been. In the shadow of modern buildings and Soviet blocks, Gori Fortress remains, a silent sentinel over a city shaped by history and conflict. Alright, we're leaving Gori Castle. I feel like I should be getting back to the UAZ now. The spot I parked at, there were lots of banks around and lots of police, so I figured, you know, banks, police, security, won't get broken into or anything, and you know, I'm just not up with where the good places are to park and where they aren't, but I tried to use my best guess, and I was walking down and thinking, well, either there's lots of police because it is very secure and they make it secure, or there's lots of police because there's lots of crime there. So, I don't know. We're going to get back to the UAZ, and I mean, I've got stuff to drop off. I'm that hot. But I feel like we should be getting back into the countryside as well. A city is a city. Another lunch stop, lads. I've got some bread, smoked cheese and salami. So, onwards. There is a town called Oni, O-N-I, further to the north. It's actually quite close to South Ossetia, which I was told today is occupied by Russians. And it's a no-go zone basically in Georgia. Very similar to in the northwest. There's an area called Abkhazia, I think, and that is also occupied by Russia/Russians. And I'm going to stay in the safe zone, go to a campsite that Andreas has recommended, and it should be about 5 p.m, 5:30. So I'll set up, I'll cook some proper food and camp the night, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. This has been a long and treacherous climb. I mean, it's all been good road, but second gear for most of the way. We're gaining some altitude because I'm seeing snow off in the distance. There's patches of snow. So heading towards that town of Oni. And yeah, the road's decent. Actually, there's some snow there next to the stones and up behind them. So yeah, we've gained some elevation. Oh, look at you. You're a fluffy horse. Didn't have any food for him and he wasn't very happy about that. So, I think this is the campsite that Andreas was talking about. I thought I'd just park the car up and just walk it and see if it would be a good spot for tonight. And if it's worth coming here. Or we will continue on now. Can see a campfire. I might go down a little bit further because I did see another turn that I could take, and I might walk that one too and just see what our options are. Or maybe I throw a saddle on one of these things and take it to the campsite. Oh, he likes getting a pat. Hello. Hello. Oh yeah. No food. Actually, I like that. That looks pretty flat. Bit of protection from the trees. We're not on the water's edge where there's, well, where there's landslides and everything. So we'll shoot back. Not too fast, not too fast. And we'll grab a little bit of first. How's that? Oh, that looks pretty flat. That looks like a good sleeping area. And don't know if you'll be able to hear the water on the video, but the water is really running past. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's nice and level. That's probably the most level I've had it on the whole trip. Geez, that's a good looking vehicle. I reckon I get the camp chair, get a beer, some salami, whatever, and sit down. I think that's the day conquered. Alright lads, I found my camp spot right next to the water, as you would have seen. I was having a look on maps, and I'm very close to the Russian occupied part of Georgia, which is called South Ossetia. It's about 30 minutes drive over that way.
So that's interesting. Apparently you can go there. You need a border permit and all of that sort of stuff, but it is possible. Me being Australian, I'd probably need a Russian visa, I guess. Don't know. Not gonna play around with that. But anyway, I bought a Georgian beer. Now I cannot read Georgian, but it says original Georgian beer at the top. So that's got to be something. UAZ behind me. How's that for a shot, eh? Ooh. Nice. This is the Zeta Zeni beer. I could drink that. I am drinking that. And I'm getting wet. Couldn't help myself. Had to get a fire going. Andreas did tell me that you can have fires wherever you like. Be careful that you don't start a forest fire. Well, I've just had a shower of rain and here we are. Got the fire going. Georgian flag. UAZ through the trees. South Ossetia even further. The next mountain's over, but doesn't get much better than this, lads. Hope nobody detains me for sending smoke signals to South Ossetia, eh? One hell of a camping spot for sure. About to finish the beer off, so cheers. After it gets a bit darker, I'm gonna head to bed. So I hope you all enjoyed day 3 of the UAZ adventure. I think it's day 3. We'll see what we get up to tomorrow. Anyway, I've obviously had enough beer, so now it's time for the homemade wine. No, I'll let the sun go down a bit more and head to bed. So see you all tomorrow for day 4. Hope you stick with me. Cheers.